In a quiet little village surrounded by green fields, lived a young boy named Rahim. Rahim was honest, kind, and full of dreams. He wanted to do something big in life, to prove himself. But there was one thing that always held him back: his thoughts. Every time he tried to start something new, his mind whispered, "What if I fail? What will people say? What if everything goes wrong?" And slowly, those thoughts became chains. He stopped trying. He stopped believing. His body lived in the village, but his mind lived in fear. One day, the local shop owner offered Rahim a small job. It was a good opportunity, a simple start. But that night, Rahim couldn't sleep. He kept thinking, what if I make mistakes? What if they laugh at me? What if I'm not good enough? By sunrise, his mind was exhausted, and his courage was gone. He didn't go. Days passed. The shop found someone else. Rahim sat by the riverbank that evening, throwing pebbles into the water. He whispered to himself, "Why am I like this? Why can't I just start?" But there was no answer, only silence and regret. The next afternoon, as Rahim sat under a big banyan tree, an old farmer named Abdul Chacha came by. He looked at Rahim and said, "Why do you look so lost, my boy?" Rahim sighed deeply. "Chacha, I want to do something in life, but my mind never stops thinking. I feel like I'll fail before I even start." Abdul Chacha smiled kindly and said, "Tomorrow morning, come to the fields with me. I'll show you something important." Rahim didn't understand, but he agreed. Somewhere inside, he felt a tiny spark of hope. The next morning, they walked to the fields. Abdul Chacha pointed at two farmers. One was planting seeds happily, focused on his work. The other stood still, holding seeds in his hand, saying, "What if it doesn't rain? What if the soil is bad?" Chacha said, "Both have the same seeds, the same land, and the same sun. But only one will grow something, because the other is too busy thinking." Rahim looked at the farmers, silent but awakened. He realized overthinking was the real thief. It had stolen his time, his courage, and his dreams. For the first time, he understood. Thinking too much doesn't solve problems, it creates them. That evening, Rahim returned home and saw his old carpentry tools, dusty and untouched. He remembered how his father once taught him to make wooden stools. He smiled and said softly, "This time, I'll just start." He made his first stool, uneven, not perfect, but his. Next morning, he took it to the village market. People smiled and said, "Rahim, you made this? It's beautiful." He sold it. It wasn't about money, it was about courage. For the first time, Rahim felt light. He finally took action instead of drowning in thought. Weeks passed. Rahim's small workshop started to grow. People came from nearby villages to buy his work. And one day, Abdul Chacha visited him again. Rahim said proudly, "Chacha, I finally learned something. Overthinking doesn't change tomorrow. Action does." The old farmer smiled. "That's the secret, Rahim. The mind never stops thinking, but you can choose which thought to listen to." Rahim looked at the sunset over his village and whispered, "I lost many days to overthinking, but now I live every day with action." Pause. If you're also trapped in your thoughts, remember Rahim's story. Don't let your mind be your prison. Start small, start today, because overthinking kills more dreams than failure ever will. Soft music fades out, ending quote appears. Stop thinking too much and start living.